over illegal appointments she allegedly made for several positions inside the village, among them.
I'm a private investigator. I've got some witnesses to come here. Inside, I have from the United States District Court, Northern District.
The controversies surrounding Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Thornton Township in Dalton, Illinois, play out like a plot ripped straight from a high-stakes drama series. But the stakes here are all too real. Henyard, known to some as the super mayor for her larger-than-life persona, has become one of the most polarizing figures in the area. From bold promises and high-profile leadership to allegations of corruption and extravagant spending, her time in office has been nothing short of a whirlwind. But the latest twist in this saga has sent shockwaves through the community. Federal agents recently arrested Henyard at her Dalton home, marking a dramatic and unexpected turning point in her political career. This development has deeply divided the town. For many, it feels like justice is finally catching up with her, a much-needed reckoning for years of controversy. Yet, others argue that the charges are part of a politically motivated smear campaign designed to tarnish her reputation. Tensions escalated further last month when a judge issued a temporary restraining order barring Henyard from making certain appointments without township trustee approval. This legal ruling has only intensified the already fraught relationship between Henyard and the local government, setting the stage for what seems to be an inevitable political showdown. Henyard's rise to prominence wasn't just about her position, it was about her personality. From the start, she positioned herself as more than just a mayor or township supervisor. Her bold self-promotion earned her the nickname Super Mayor. Her face appeared on billboards, event flyers, and welcome signs throughout Dalton and Thornton Township, ensuring that no one could forget who was in charge. The customers called her the Henyard. She was labeled a patron more than 10 years before the town of Thornton Township and welcomed many new bands. She loved a good cause. To her supporters, Henyard's charisma was magnetic. They saw her as a fearless leader, someone relatable and unafraid to challenge the political establishment. For them, she represented a fighter for the underdog, a leader who wasn't afraid to speak her mind and take bold risks. Uncaringly, Z didn't make women, elite scholar or singer, like other supporters of the band, Henyard. However, her critics saw a different picture. They accused her of prioritizing her personal image over the genuine needs of the community. Questions arose about the ethics of her spending habits and the apparent focus on self-promotion. From the very beginning, Henyard's leadership style raised eyebrows. Board meetings under her tenure were infamous for their chaos. Henyard often clashed with trustees over unilateral decisions, leading to heated debates. Critics accused her of bypassing proper procedures and disregarding the opinions of other elected officials, creating an atmosphere of mistrust. For residents attending these meetings, the events were both a spectacle and a source of deep concern. Supporters praised her as a strong, independent woman battling the political system, but detractors labeled her actions as reckless and self-serving, eroding the trust of the community. As Henyard's political career faces an uncertain future, the residents of Dalton and Thornton Township are left to
firm. We made sure they had wands, and we also told our board to come upstairs due to the fact they had several ways to exit.
question the truth behind her actions. Will justice prevail, or is Henyard truly the victim of a political conspiracy? Partially. And I was put aside for trial. And at the bare minimum, I made myself safe in the palisade. One thing is clear, the drama surrounding Tiffany Henyard's leadership is far from over. Only time will reveal the full story, but for now, the saga continues to captivate and divide the community. Tiffany Henyard's tenure as mayor became a lightning rod for controversy when reports surfaced about her questionable use of township funds. These revelations painted a troubling picture. One of a leader allegedly misusing taxpayer money for personal luxuries, igniting widespread outrage and prompting deeper investigations into her financial decisions. At the heart of the controversy were Henyard's government credit card expenditures, totaling tens of thousands of dollars. These weren't minor office expenses, they were extravagant purchases, including high-end furniture and luxury travel. One of the most shocking instances was a single-day spending spree where Henyard reportedly charged over $40,000 to an online retailer. This revelation left the already tax-burdened community reeling, sparking outrage over what many viewed as indulgent personal spending funded by public money. Critics were quick to denounce Henyard's actions, accusing her of living lavishly at the expense of taxpayers who had entrusted her with their hard-earned dollars. The public outcry only intensified as more details of her spending habits came to light. To many residents, these expenditures seemed anything but community-focused, eroding trust in her leadership. Henyard, however, denied any wrongdoing. She insisted that all her purchases were legitimate and made with the township's best interests in mind. She claimed that the items and services procured were necessary for the community's development, yet she struggled to present concrete evidence to back her claims. Her defenses rang hollow to most residents, as the purchases appeared increasingly personal rather than professional. The spending scandal was just the beginning. Another flashpoint in Henyard's administration was the infamous skating ring project, a venture she had heavily promoted as a transformative community initiative. Millions of taxpayer dollars were poured into the rink's construction, with Henyard touting it as a hub for recreation, social events, and public enjoyment. But when the rink finally opened, it fell far short of expectations. If our first procurement shows anything like the truth, our hearts are really in it. She said it was instead of becoming the vibrant community centerpiece Henyard had promised, the rink was perceived as a vanity project. It appeared to be more of a venue for Henyard's personal gatherings than a public resource. Critics lambasted the project, calling it a waste of taxpayer money and yet another example of her prioritizing self-promotion over the community's needs. Residents questioned whether the rink was truly intended to benefit them or merely serve as a monument to Henyard's leadership ambitions. This criticism further fueled discontent among those who felt Henyard's priorities were misaligned with the township's needs. The skating rink, rather than uniting the community, became a symbol of excess and mismanagement. It seemed to reinforce the narrative that Henyard was more focused on her image than on genuinely improving the lives of her constituents. I like that. I like that way of putting it. More visibility. Despite these mounting controversies, Henyard still had her defenders. Her supporters argued that her intentions were noble and that she had tried to bring positive changes to a township long plagued by economic struggles. They saw the skating rink, while flawed, as a potential asset for the community and believed that Henyard was being unfairly targeted by political adversaries and the media. For her critics, however, these defenses fell flat. Turns out they viewed her actions as a betrayal of public trust and a glaring example of failed leadership. To them, the skating rink and the financial scandals were not isolated incidents, but part of a broader
that meeting was improperly called and improperly held. The residents of
pattern of recklessness and self-interest. Henyard's time in office ultimately became a case study in the complexities of political leadership and public perception. While some saw her as a bold leader trying to revitalize a struggling community, others believed she had lost sight of her responsibilities, prioritizing personal gain over public service. Regardless of the perspective, the controversies surrounding her spending and the skating rink project left a lasting mark on Dalton and Thornton Township. The community was left grappling with hard questions about transparency, accountability, and how their tax dollars were being used, ensuring that Henyard's legacy would be one of profound debate and division. The controversy surrounding Tiffany Henyard continued to escalate, with many residents of Thornton Township growing increasingly frustrated with her management and decisions. The exit ring project was just the tip of the iceberg. Another significant point of contention was her allocation of township funds, which many viewed as extravagant and unnecessary. So not only did she move from the township quarters, but she also paid half the money to her taxes, which she most specifically required, which poked a very high tax. Look at the branded as community engagement initiatives. These concerts featured largely unknown performers and cost taxpayers a staggering $880,000. In some cases, the events attracted fewer than 50 attendees, sparking outrage. Bill Henyard's office defended these events as an attempt to bring cultural enrichment to the area. The residents felt the funds could have been better used to address more pressing local concerns. One resident put it bluntly, "We're struggling to keep our streets clean, and she's out here throwing parties nobody asked for." This sentiment reflected the growing frustration that Henyard's priorities seemed misaligned with the real needs of the community. Cash, come on. Guys, I'm sorry, I used to play guitar when I was a kid. He probably isn't that good, but he's a really good guitar. The issues didn't stop there. Henyard's management of the township's bus services also came under heavy scrutiny. The buses, which were supposed to serve the public, were reportedly used to transport her supporters to political events.
But the judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking her from making those appointments without approval from trustees.
Particularly during the contentious caucus, where she was denied a spot on the ballot. Many witnesses reported that the buses arrived late on several occasions, leaving Henyard's supporters stranded outside in freezing temperatures. And some people had to wait for hours with no sign of the buses that were supposed to be there to assist them. And so Henyard's response to the situation was to claim that the delays were a form of voter suppression orchestrated by her opponents. However, to many, this explanation rang hollow. The delays were seen as clear evidence of her administration's disorganization and failure to manage basic services. One attendee remarked bitterly, "She wanted to pack the caucus with her people, but she couldn't even manage that properly." The image of senior citizens standing outside in the cold, waiting for transportation that never arrived, became a powerful symbol of the growing dissatisfaction with Henyard's leadership. For many residents, this incident encapsulated the broader concerns they had about Henyard. It painted a picture of a leader more focused on political maneuvering and personal agendas than on addressing the everyday needs of the community. It left people questioning whether their elected official truly understood their struggles or was simply more interested in maintaining power at any cost. Adding to the mounting frustration surrounding Henyard's leadership was her ongoing feud with the Dalton Park District, a separate government entity. Park officials accused Henyard of deliberately withholding permits for crucial park improvements, putting at risk grants worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Without these permits, vital projects to upgrade playgrounds and other recreational facilities were in danger of losing their funding, potentially leaving taxpayers responsible for the full cost. Critics of Henyard alleged that she was using these permit delays as a form of political retaliation against the Park District, which had allowed her political opponents to hold meetings on its property. Although Henyard's office denied these accusations, the delays only fueled growing concerns about her leadership. Critics argued that her focus seemed to be more on settling personal scores than on addressing the community's real needs, further eroding her credibility as a public servant. As the controversies piled up, Henyard's relationship with the Dalton Village Board of Trustees grew even more strained. The trustees accused her of making major decisions without their approval, further deepening the rift between the two entities. One of the most contentious decisions was the hiring of a new police chief, a position Henyard handpicked someone for without consulting the board. This decision added to the perception that Henyard was increasingly making unilateral choices that bypassed the democratic process, leading many to question whether she was truly representing the interests of the community or prioritizing her own power and agenda.